everyone. Let me greet you in my South African Christian indigenous language. Well, Christmas. Welcome to Africa, my Africa video series. The people of the South, Christmas people. You can always find these and more on www.africamyafrica.xhosa. Please enjoy, share, subscribe, like this video here below on YouTube channel. Only if you like. This is People of the South, Christmas people, but why? Christmas! You see. Christmas! You see. Salut Abi! Yep, that's me. Africa Fikeni. I look good, don't I? That's my Christmas heritage attire. Ah. I'm going to talk about the people of Africa. The people of the South. An old African proverb says, until the story of the hunt is told by the lion, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Decrypted goes like, until the lion has his or her own storyteller, the hunt will always have the best part of the story. I'm telling about the XESIBE people here. If you're not an African, you're probably asking yourself, what? How do you pronounce this? Let me help you. X for XESIBE. If you laterally click your tongue at the sides of your mouth, you hear the sound. Listen to me here on video how I pronounce it continuously. It is originally a Latin alphabet, a voiceless uncommon consonant, similar to when calling a horse or a cow. The XESIBE kingdom is indeed one of the forgotten, undocumented, and less acknowledged kingdoms. In a South African history context, of course. Who are the XESIBE people? Where did they come from? What has been their mark in South Africa's historical moments? Where are they today? What are some of the common misunderstandings of the XESIBE history? Well, this is a lot to talk about and explain simply in one video. A series of videos will follow you, it's like I've already alluded to previously. It is often asked jokingly, in many African cultures, how do you eat an elephant? Simply answered by the elders, piece by piece, my son. Not literally, we don't eat elephants here. It's just an expression. This is why in this video, we will only talk and do introductions to answer these questions. Not to talk at depths or answer all at once. This is not meant to bombard you, just to majestically tell you about XESIBE. They are a very large group that dispersed throughout the eastern part of South Africa. They are found as small to medium-sized fragmented units, of which had split up as a nation, settled among or adjacent to several other South African kingdoms, as early as more than 350 years ago. XESIBE people are descendants of the African Bantu people, who migrated southwards from the region between the Great Lakes and the rift valleys of Eastern and Central Africa. A cluster of these groups who migrated south were called Nguni people, as they shared many similarities in their languages and possibly genealogies. Out of the Nguni people who finally settled in the eastern parts of southern Africa, emerged one of the most powerful kingdom of Abambo people, who settled near the Libombo Mountains on the western side of the Swaziland kingdom. Are you still with me? Too much information at once? Okay, let's hold it right there. Let me draw a picture for you, just to illustrate what I'm talking about. The Great Rift Valley stretches over 9,600 kilometers from Turkey to Mozambique. It is in East Africa. This giant crack has made a valley with length of 6,000 kilometers, with natural hot springs and elongated lakes in the Great Rift Valley. With volcanoes, it threatens to eventually split Africa apart. The giant crack are tectonic plate boundaries shown here below. You can see Africa crack right through Ethiopia through the Red Sea. The valley passes through Ethiopia at the northern end and opens into the famous Dunghill Depression, which is 116 meters below sea level and one of the hottest places on earth. Great Lakes region includes African countries today like Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Zambia, Kenya, Malawi, and the DRC. People thrived in these water valleys. It is always said. Southern Africa migration looks like this. You have the central and southern map in front of you, Africa. Abantu people origins are from the Central Africa around the equator there. More than 1,000 years ago, Abantu people then settled in the Great Lakes. Guni people migrate to southern Africa about 1,000 years later. 600 to 700 years ago, Abambo people settled near Libombo Mountains, known as Swaziland. XESIBE established himself in the triangle between Bulwer and Greytown and Escott. XESIBE migrated to settle on the banks of Umtavuna River about 500 years ago. In summary, African Great Lakes are known as Maziwa Makuu in Swahili. They include the Great Lake Tanganyika, Lake Victoria, and several huge lakes around the region. Guni people migrated about 1,000 years ago to southern Africa. This is around the years 1050 to 1100. It is known for a fact that Christianity had not reached the African Great Lakes region by then. About 600, 700 years ago, the Abambo people then settled near the Libombo Mountains, today known as the Swaziland Kingdom. This is around the years 1300 to 1400 years ago. XESIBE, who had established himself in the triangle between Bulwer, Greytown, and Escott, now known as the KZN province in the South Africa. He then migrated further to southern eastern parts and settled on the banks of Umtamvuna River about 500 years ago. This river separates KZN and Eastern Cape Province today in South Africa. This is around the years 1450 to 1600 years ago. This is absolutely before the Dutch ship commanded by Jan van Riebeeck arrived in the South Cape port of South Africa. XESIBE died after a long and illustrious reign. He now is believed to be buried on the Umtamvuna River banks in the Eastern Cape Province. XESIBE dispersed into family groups led by his sons Dozabantu, Ganu, Kwenkwe, Ngele, and others about 350 years ago. This is around the years 1600 to 1700 years ago. Those Abantu sons were Mbatane, Bimbi, Miana, Machaya, and others. Their grandsons further split into families now known as Nonzaba, Gwati, the twins Umkoma and None, and others about 250 years ago. This is around the year 1700 to 1800 years ago. Yes, you might ask. XESIBE had older brothers, the twins Bondomise and Bondo, who formed big nations, and a younger brother Nyambaso, amongst other siblings. I'm going to quote from our famous former President Thabo Mbeki. I'm an African speech. I'm an African, a South African. Umgado kaXESIBE, uRhadu uSomadoda, umjoli kaSinama, umalanelwa intombi itindizele, uthanga lihle ngothanjiso, amane ibheka njengomntwana. Thoba le ndlela. Sabelo uyabizwa emazibukweni. That was the indigenous South African XESIBE language. Those were my South African culture appraisers. Ukuzixela, ukuzitsho. Let me explain to you what I mean. This is an African way of identifying oneself in salutations of his or her forefathers, whose names, traits, heroic and symbolic beliefs made them who they were. In our African culture, it is important to always respect and remember your roots, history, and sacrifices of your forebearers whose shoulders upon you stand. Africa My Africa subscribes to MAFA Pan-African Studies. You can see the websites there, africankingdoms.com, africanholocaust.net. Go through and you'll read through. It is a study of a 500 years suffering of people of African heritage, including the present times. MAFA, a term used to describe the history and ongoing effects of atrocities inflicted on African people. This is 1. Invasion of our precious Africa. 2. Kidnapping and selling of African people. 3. Violation and assault of African resources. 3. Most especially, the attack and dishonor of our own African culture and spiritual modalities. Yes, MAFA is all about that. It is the most terrible and horrific crime against humanity in all of human history. Not one of the worst, but the very worst in history in terms of the quantity, quality, length of time, the severity and intensity of the suffering of what African people were subjected to. People of the South, XESIBE People Part 1 ends here for now. Please subscribe here below on the Africa My Africa YouTube channel for free, of course. Your email and I will strike our further communications with you. You can always add comments, like, or rate this video as well. Next video will follow here soon. Target is a weekly release. It will show more XESIBE history, closer to what you would really like to know probably about yourself or the history of African people. You can search a title called People of the South, XESIBE People Part 2 by Africa. Remember, to get prompt notifications for these videos, please subscribe here below on Africa My Africa YouTube channel. Please add comments like I said earlier. Click a like button and rate this video as well. Watch for more on www.africamyafrica.co.za. I'm thankful, of course, and give a lot of credit to the South African scholars, the British colonialists who wrote somehow a fuzzy truth, so to say, the African writings, and my family who thoroughly researched to produce such excellent material about myself, Africa, and the Southern people, which I am now able to quote from and refer back to. And lastly, I'm able to share it with you, the rest of the world, the people of Africa, most especially the people of the South.